What's up, Facebook? What's up, Instagram? Got my official blue badge check. So, that's a cool thing. It's time to go live tonight. So, I'm going to do a country music podcast tonight. So, tonight's all about country music. All right. So, for those of you who don't maybe know me, or maybe new to my page, I went globally viral August 24, 2022 on a Facebook video, and I was telling about a certain kind of operation that the country's in right now, and it went globally viral. But before that, I had Billboard hits in country music as a singer and a songwriter. That's what I've built my whole life on. I moved to Nashville years ago. Before it went to hell in a handbasket quick. The industry side that most people think they know about but really don't. I think that when the Bible says God works in mysterious ways, it truly means mysterious. Like, you think you're here one day and you're here the next, right? And you think you're over here one day and then you're over here the next. And God does a lot of things when you're seeking Him and when you're following Him. There's a lot of lip Christians out there, but hey, everybody's doing their best, trying to do whatever. However, this is for all the singer-songwriters out there. I made a promise to someone a long time ago that I would do this, and it was more facetious of a comment back then, because I know what I know, and of all the country music artists in history, who never told you how it works, I've done that. And so it's not going to help me out, because I'm at an age now where I really don't care anymore. I'm kind of at a point where Ricky Van Shelton got, and I just don't care anymore. And I love writing and I love doing what I'm doing just because I know that I know. I've been there, done that. It's that old saying, I've been there, done that, got the prize. All right. And once I figured out how it all worked, once I had my first Billboard hit, I was like, whoa, this is the secret? Once you know it, you learn, you figure out who you are, right? You figure out, do you want to stay in this rigmarole, or do you walk away and don't give a two craps what anybody thinks? But I care about it from another angle, for one reason. I made a promise to someone. As facetious as it was, I made a promise to someone. And everybody who knows me knows my personality. When I say something's a fact, it's a fact. All right? And there's a way we can save country music. But it ain't going to come from anybody that's top 5, top 10, top 20. Because they don't want to mess up their little bird nest, all right? They talk big game. A lot of them out there, especially the political ones, they talk big talk, but they don't walk big walk, all right? Because if they really wanted to, they try to cure the problem, not treat the symptom, all right? So I'm going to get into what happened, but back in 2020, my last major record label meeting that I had, all right, I promised this label, I said, you know what? If God lets me slip through the cracks somehow, some way, if God allows me to slip through the cracks, I am going to tell all the secrets until the day I die. Even if one person only listens to me for the rest of my life, I don't care. I'm going to tell it from the rooftops, and I'm going to be consistent with it, because once you know, you know. Once you have that blueprint, you got it. All right, and until that system changes, it's going to be the same. So until that system has a whole new blueprint, that's what they're operating with. All right. So what put me in this position is amazing. When you really think about how God works, and I go globally viral all over the world. All right. And all of my platforms combined is somewhere right around 850,000. I don't know. I don't keep up with the exact number for a good reason. All right, it didn't go to my head for the wrong reasons. But when you really look at certain artists out there who've been singing for 20, 30, 40 years, and it took them all those years to build up to 2 million followers, 3 million followers, I'm not that far away, and I went viral 3 years ago. So when you think about how God works, God allowed that to happen to me because I told this label in 2020 now, in 2020, all right, October 2020, I told this label, if I fall through the cracks somehow, some way, and God blows up my social media, so help me God, my God, so help me God, I'm going to tell all of the secrets to country music. And if you, the fans out there, care, you'll listen. And then you'll take action. All right, because those of you that follow me, a lot of you that follow me, you're big political based. All right, and you've been part of this movement. And when someone shows you facts that says, hey, don't support this person, they do this, 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 and this. It's the same thing you need to do with music. Same thing. Because there's a bunch of incompetent idiots who have been running the show. And it's a tiny, tiny industry on the backside. So, guess what happened? I fell through the cracks. Guess what happened, Riser House? Where you at, Riser House? Where you at, Jen? Where you at, Jen? Where you at? What happened, Riser House? I told you. Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you, Riser House? Remember that phone call when you told me you were passing on me after I sat there in this... We'll get to the label thing in a minute. The problem with singer-songwriters today is every single singer-songwriter that's claiming to be country music, they all want to have a hit song, but they don't want to listen to the people who have hit songs that say, look, it ain't what you think it is. You don't just meet a few people, record a few songs, oh, you got a good look, oh, you got a good... None of that. None of that. These major record labels want you to be dumb as a toenail, controllable and gullible. All right? They don't want people like me who know the industry but also know finances and know business. All right? They don't want that because they're robbing every artist out there. Now, recently, Jelly Roll, all right, I can't believe we're at a place in country music where we got dudes with face tattoos and their name Jelly Roll, but whatever. Woosah. But recently he was saying about what labels do. Well, he's just skimming on the surface. See, he just skims on the surface to make people follow him more and go, oh, he's a rebel and he's standing up. No, that ain't even treating a symptom. That's just going, oh, you got a boo-boo on your arm there. All right. Now, so these young artists who moved to Nashville, one, they uproot their whole life, pack their bags up, pack their life up. Some of them even go through a divorce now. Some of them bust their families up. Some of them bust up friendships and move to Nashville, right? Don't know anything, don't know anybody. And then they get into all these little cliques in Nashville and all this, that. None of that matters. All of my Billboard hits and my Texas country hits, guess where I live? Not in Nashville. All right? So I don't even play songwriter rounds anymore because the cliques are so bad. Oh my gosh, you talking about dog eat dog. The cliques, a lot of brown nosing and kissing you know what, and a lot of the other stuff too, you know? So you don't even have to be a part of that crap if you'll just listen to people who've been there, done that, and know that, hey, there's a backdoor system. And not many know about it because I'm the first one who's exposed all that. Told all the secrets. All right, so all these young singer-songwriters think because the internet is broad today and, oh, you can build a platform. There's females out there, the female singer-songwriters, they're in their bikinis. They're all over social media and they're, half naked. And then it's real easy to decipher. All you got to do is ask a female and say, hey, what's your conversion rate? All of these likes on your half-naked photo, how many of them are streaming your music? What's your conversion rate? Meaning, the ones who are clicking on your photo and liking your photo because you're half naked, how many of them are streaming your music? And most of those female artists are buying bots. They're buying bots and they're running up their numbers by a computer somewhere over in Russia or Kazakhstan or somewhere over there. It's not organic. Because I can tell you right now, with my Billboard hits, I only have like 270,000 streams on one song in one of the Billboard hits. All right? And that's all organic. Meaning nothing's touched those. Nothing ran those up. I didn't myself even open up 47 different emails and stream different tabs daily. So, again, what is organic? You have organic conversion rates, etc. All right? So, a lot of these singer-songwriters, they just want to do it their way, and they don't even realize that, look, if every single male and female artist, singer-songwriter will listen to me and let my team get on your career, as you think you call it, you would bypass all the bullcrap. You bypass all of the stuff. Incompetence. You'll bypass all the clicks. You'll bypass all the dudes hitting on you, trying to get in your pants and all this other stuff. You bypass all that. Because what my team's doing, and I was going to wait and save this till later, but what my team's doing is going, hey, look, here's the deal. I've been there, done that. I'm talking to you as the artist and the songwriter. I'm not talking to you as some kind of business dude. I am a business guy. I have a master's in business, all right? But I'm the artist-songwriter. Here's what my team's doing. We're going to produce your record and pay for your record, all right? But we're not going to charge you for that. What all these others are doing when they get 5, 10, 15,000, 20,000, I've heard some ridiculous numbers up there. We're not saying, and we're also not going to take any of your percentages. Me as a songwriter, guess what? I believe in myself enough as a songwriter because I've already proven that. One of my Billboard hits, I wrote it. All right, so what I'm doing is saying, look, I can produce it. I can write for you if you don't write. If you just can't write, then I can write for you. And then also, we can do, I've written 16 number one hit songwriters. That's just on a minimum. All right, that's not all the others, top 5, 10, 20, 30. All right, I can pull in those, or I can write it myself, and or if you are a writer, I'll write it with you. All right, and then we'll pay for it. My team will pay for it. All right, and then it'll be the regular norm when you go out on the road, right? If that happens, if you're one of those that gets to go out on the road, it'll be making money on the royalties. Real simple. All right, and then you should want to do some kind of tiny little percentage as a kickback, but nothing where you pay up front. All when you go on the road, you're getting it because the music's going to be quality and it's going to be stuff that people listen to, but also it's going to be every big name in every slot on your record. But too many of you trying to get the cart before the horse. You want to be famous and you want a name and you're an attention whore and you're all these other things. You get the cart before the horse and then you end up doing what? One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was this. Your first impression is your last impression. All right, so if you're producing and putting out a bunch of trash songs and crap songs that never been critiqued by someone who's had hit songs, and you put out stuff just because you think it's a hit song with no criteria there to critique you and go, that ain't that good. You got to have some constructive criticism in your life. I went through it, and that's what I'm going to tell you. One of the first meetings I ever had in Nashville, I don't know how, this is back during the days before Google was really big and booming. I found Luke Bryan's email way back when he was just a writer. All right, he wasn't an artist. He wasn't a Luke Bryan that everybody knows. I found Luke Bryan's email. I found another email of someone that I'm now friends with, a hit songwriter. All right, and then I found a bunch of emails, right? And then I found the top dog's email. Well, my grandfather was roommates. They called it boarding mates back in the day. He was boarding mates with Hank Williams Sr. in 1943 in Mobile, Alabama. All right, so my grandpa toured those circuits back in the day with like Red Foley, Bob Wills, and all those guys back in the 40s and the 50s. He was a guitar player. All right, and so I wrote to this big dog, man, and I had no business writing to him. See, that's honesty. That's telling you the straight. I had no business writing to this dude whatsoever. Looking back, especially hindsight's 2020. Oh my Lord, I had 3 songs that I called songs, 3 that put together wasn't even a quarter of a song. Had no business writing this dude. I get the meeting. All right, he said, "Oh yeah, come on down here. I remember them old guys like your grandpa and all them." And he was older too himself now. And so I'm in this meeting. I start playing some music. He's tapping his foot and all that good stuff. When he got done, he said, "Son, this is the hardest part of my job." But he said, "This is a business up here." He said, "Son, singing, songwriting, you may love it, but you got to love it a different way. This is a business, and you don't know anything about that business." And he said, "And if that's how you write a song, you need to get the hell out of my office. You need to get the hell out of this town." Just straight up, just like that. You talking about wanting to melt in your seat? All right, that's it. That's the first meeting I ever had in Nashville, Tennessee. And he don't mind me telling his name because, again, he's got that kind of reputation. All right, his name's Roger Murrah. All right, but he's also the writer of 10 #1 hits and 100 top 10s, and he is also a Hall of Fame hit songwriter. All right, he's the one who found and signed and discovered Luke Bryan. All right, and a few others. But again, that's what he told me. But then he flipped around and he said, "Let me tell you something, son. Let me tell you something. I know a little bit about you." He said, "I can look at you like a poker player. I can tell you right now where you are in your life. You don't know anything about a bar. You don't know anything about drinking. You don't know anything about lonely. You don't know anything about heartaches." He said, "I can look at you and tell you that you go to church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday." He said, "I know you. We grew up in the same neck of the woods, son. I know you. I know you." He said, "Why don't you do," he said, and he stopped. He said, he was going to tell me, "Why don't you do that?" But he turned around. He said, let me just test you out a little bit." He said, "Why do horses in the city wear blinders on the side?" I said, "Well, they're not distracted what's around them. They focus on what's in." He said, "Exactly. Exactly." He said, "Why don't you write about something you know about first? Why don't you try that first?" He said, "Now look, you may walk out of this office. You may go on to be the greatest insurance salesman in the world. You may go out of this office, go to med school, law school, be the best doctor, cures cancer, be the best lawyer ever walked the planet." He said, "But you may stay in this town, and next thing you know, you may figure it all out because you're pretty smart. I can tell you're pretty smart." He said, "You answered that really quick on your feet." He said, "You might stay in this town, and guess what might happen to you?" He said, "You might just meet all the right people. You might just put it all together." And he said, "Guess what? You can come to my office any day of the week and you can ask me a question. If you ask the right question, I'll give you the correct answer. If it's business related, to music business." He said, "The door's open for you. I think you're a good kid with a good head because you had the audacity to reach out to me, and you had no business reaching out to me. But I did. I had the guts and the nerves, and I had the guts and the nerves to go in there and look like a dang fool." All right? Because that's what exactly happened. But he told me the greatest advice I have ever heard in my life. And everywhere I go, when people say to me, "What's the greatest fight?" Anyone who's ever asked me that question can tell you it's the same answer. And they could even start a club. It's the same answer. He told me, he said, "Derek, if you don't have what it takes, there's not a thing in the world I can do to give it to you. But if you have what it takes, there's not a thing in the world I can do to stop you from getting it." That simple. But he said, "If I handed you a Rolodex," back when we had them, y'all know the pain of that, y'all. All right. "If I handed you a Rolodex of every number in this city on Music Row, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You wouldn't know how to talk to them. You wouldn't have anything to give them. And I wouldn't make you look like a fool like that. So your door's open. You can come in here anytime. You can ask me. You can ask Luke. You can ask anybody in here any question. And if it's a good question, you'll get a good answer. Shortly after that, I met a guy, all right, who was a staff writer for George Strait. One of my first friends in Nashville, Tennessee, was a staff writer for the king himself, George Strait. All right. And he told me a lot of great advice. And we hung out a lot. We went downtown. We went everywhere. Hung out. And he had a good inclination of why I was hanging out with him. Because, I mean, come on. But then again, we were the only two in town at that time who were wearing cowboy hats and boots. There was a time when Nashville, it was frowned on just not long ago to even walk around town with boots on and buckle and full quill ostrich boots. Real cowboys. All right? So that's why this is passionate. And fans need to know this stuff. All right? What's taking place with the quote-unquote industry. All right? Well, my buddy, same thing. He's like, man, this is a business here. All right? And it's how you talk to people. Etiquette, protocol, standard. It's dirty. It's corrupt. And he's like, not all of them. Most of them are incompetent. Money-based. All right? So right now, as we speak, there's a top 10 artist, number one hit artist, has won major awards that I've written with. All right. Do you see them including anybody in their life? No. See, it's a system. All right. And they even moved back home for a time period. So out of all the females and all the males, but this person happens to be a female, out of all the females who are in Nashville, why didn't they sign her to a deal when she was there? Why? Why did she move home and then all of a sudden, record deal? It's not about talent. So, this is for every singer-songwriter out there. You need to know this stuff. Especially if you're trying to have a hit song in country music. Until the system changes with major record labels, until that changes and there's another format and there's another structure and there's another formula, it's the same thing. And so far, it's been that even with Spotify and Apple and iTunes and all that stuff got bought into it and got bought, like basically grandfathered, even though that's not really the right term, but it got integrated, be a better word, got integrated in it. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Pandora, Rhapsody. Remember Rhapsody? All those in a day could have exposed country music the right way had those CEOs stood up and had some some kahunas, right? They would have stood strong and said, no, we don't want the money. They could have flipped the system, but what did they do? They caved. Money. The old saying, money talks and bullshit walks. All right? So, real simple. So, country music, ladies and gentlemen, but especially you singer-songwriters, country music has a system with a format, with a formula. And until that format changes, it's the same format. And as it sits right now, the only way to have a Billboard hit, which is your top chart in all the genre, all right, the only way to have that to the average singer-songwriter out there is a major record label. Unless you know the secret of what I'm talking about. But there's a catch to it in another kind of manner. Not a catch meaning like, oh, I reel you in. No, there's another catch to it. All right, completely different. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, I'm going to make a note real quick. That way I can break it down. So, fans out there, and I've heard this my whole time, man. I'm telling you what. Lord have mercy. I've heard this. But fans will say stuff like, well, I don't listen to radio anymore. and when we were doing marketing on all of my hits and stuff, when we were doing marketing and just doing organic marketing and reaching out to different bars, venues, groups, etc., when we were doing all our marketing and everything, advertising, we would have people say stuff like, I don't listen to radio anymore. And then they'd say things like, the personal ones, like personal messages would be like, well, you focus too much on Billboard charts. We just love great music. All right. No, you don't love great music because you discovered it. Country music is a system with a format, with a formula. Long before it reaches your ears and or your playlist, it goes through a system. Long before it gets to you. Long before. And you simply putting trust into that system is the same as you simply putting trust into congressmen and women just because they're a congressman or a woman. Just by title. Not getting to know them, not knowing how it works, not knowing how bills work, not knowing how the bill goes into an act, not knowing how the government's funded. You're just simply trusting because, you're sitting at the pool or you're sitting at spring break and someone says, you got to check out so-and-so. Well, that person didn't discover so-and-so. It came through country music's system. Billboard country airplay. When you go over to any of your favorite singers, Luke Combs, Luke Bryan, Morgan Wallen, whoever, when you go to their discography, and the only place you can find discographies now are on Wikipedia, but it's actually accurate. All right, go to Wikipedia, and you'll see U.S. country, and you'll see these columns. All right, all of their number one hits. Sure, there's some. Yep, there's some on the hot country. Yep, there's some number, but the majority of all their number one hits are on Billboard Country Airplay. Billboard Country Airplay. Same Billboard I've been on. It's the top chart in all of country music. It's the chart the major record labels have on their desk weekly. It's the only one they care about. Great example, really fast. My entertainment attorney and I were sitting at a songwriter round one night. All right. Round stops playing. All right. She happened to like one of the singer-songwriters up there. They got to talking. She got her number. All right. Well, 3 weeks later, this chick goes viral on TikTok. All right. With a less than mediocre song. Not great at all. I mean, the lyrics today are as watered down as water can get. But whatever. All right. Someone made that happen on TikTok. And it just so happened to be a guy. But whatever. All right. So what did the label do? So she got signed to a major record deal. All right. Off of this one song that went viral on TikTok. One song now. And get signed to a major deal. What did the major record label put out in their press the next week or two? It said, should Universal take it to country radio? So see, TikTok didn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter. Should Universal take it to country radio? Oh, I thought you fans don't listen to country radio anymore. So why was the first place they're going to take it to be country radio, not Spotify, Apple, Pandora? Because it don't work like that. The major record labels use Billboard Country Airplay. Again. So see, all these young singer-songwriters, they think, oh, well, she made it on TikTok. You're looking at the lottery winner. And you also don't know the politics that was behind sending that lottery winner up to the top. All right, on TikTok, making it go viral. All right, so, again. So, top 30 and top 60. Now, people like me who've been on the chart know there's an imaginary line there. It ain't real. It's not a line there when you're looking at the chart, when you get a report, when you're actually are being promoted and you're rolling up the chart. So on the back side, it's what they call the back side. On the back side of the chart, it's like 400 artists that you never see, who may never make it to the visible portion. And most don't. All right. So whenever you look at top 60, that's how many slots are on the chart. 60 slots. But what they've done through the years is they've condensed that down, what they've published to you, the fans. They don't show you the full chart. Billboard don't. Now you got to pay for a subscription for Billboard, which is crazy. All right, how many fans are that dedicated to pay for that? They're not. All right, so in 1990, it's when the Billboard Country Airplay came in. Now, initially, it didn't change initially. No, it didn't instantly go downhill. So all your artists like George Strait, Tracy Lawrence, Ricky Van Shelton, Shenandoah, Black Hawk, all that, not initially did it. Where it really nosedived was in 2012. That's when, so back in 1990, it was how many radio stations you could get on. And then that was their formula. So however many stations you got on, that's how you climb the chart. All right. But you still had to have promoters. All right. But it was more back about then, it was still a little bit more about the music. So they would take a song on there and then go, hey, we got a new artist up, and we're going to put them up next to George Strait, and you call in and tell which one you like. They had contests like that. All right, so they had promotions like that. Well, in 2012 is when the industry, the inside, the backside, the side I know about, and the incompetent idiots that have been running it, thus when they nosedived it even further. Then it became how many stations you can get on and how many spins of your song that you get. So then that depends on the program director. Well, that's the new modern name for the DJs. All right, that's the head dog of the radio station. They're going, oh, well, now it's money-based. How much money you can pay them when you're an independent artist. So we're going to get to that because most people don't know. Most singer-songwriters still don't know that you can go up Billboard without a major record label. All right. So you got to know, though, that Billboard Country Airplay is the top chart in country music. That's the system. It's the same discography. They all use it. All right. So the odds of you, singer-songwriter out there, the odds of you getting a major record deal are not there. I'm telling you right now. Because I have the full package, and I'm not the only one. I can sit here and name artists that I know that have great packages too, meaning they're a singer, songwriter, and way better singer than me. I'll admit that. I'm a heck of a songwriter better than I am a singer. I can deliver my stuff because of my personality. But I know all kinds of artists who have been on Billboard with me in the backside of, not just the backside, but the top 30 to top 60 that you've never heard of on the same chart. And the reason I have a problem with it, and we can change it, is for what the whole argument I'm going to make is the fact that once people realize that most singers don't even write their own music. So are you really talented? Just because you can sing, why don't you take the best of the best first? Why don't you take the artists who can sing and write their own music? And even solo first. All right, go, hey, Morgan, let's see how you do writing all them songs by yourself. Let's see you write top quality by yourself like I can write. I have tons of songs I've written by myself that people love. One of them right now is blowing up big time organically. Nothing being put in behind it. So, all right. So when fans say they don't listen to radio, and when fans say, well, we just love great music. No, it's great because it's supposed to be great. It's great because it's already gone through a systematic process to get to you. It wouldn't get to you if it wasn't in their system. All right, doesn't make it great just because it's in a system. So there's that as well. It's in a system and it gets to you and you're captivated and you're captured by that system. See, that's what you, the country music fan, you're captured. You're a captivated audience. No different than these TV shows. They know that you are captured. So if they get you involved on the show or in the audience, you're captured. So what product they give you, you're captured. And you're going to vote based on what product you're given, what singer you're given. You're going to vote out of the selection choices you have. So it's the same thing with country music. You don't love country music because you discovered it. You weren't given a blank USB and say, hey, there's no names on it, there's no titles of the song. Stick it in there. Find out, find the songs that you love and then tell us what they are. Remember the names of them, write them down, and then we're going to give you a USB of those with their names, and then you can go support them. No, you don't do that. You're captured. You are nothing but sheep. You don't love music because it's great. You don't even know the process of it. And then when some singer out there goes and does something political that goes against your system, one, if you keep supporting them, you're a hypocrite. But two, you could have known about them had you participated with the clean out of country music, and let's get competent people in the driver's seats of these major record labels and or drive out the labels out of business. All right, because again, most of your major record labels, guess how long they've been around? 80 years. 60, 70, 80 years. So see, that's the conglomerate. Major record labels and radio. When these labels call radio, they're people. But when they answer the phone, guess what? That program director, when they took over from another program director, guess what happened? Hey, here's the labels. Sony, MCA, RCA, Warner Brothers, here they are. So when they answer the phone, they're not going to answer anybody else. And then Billboard made a Billboard affiliate. So you have to, they have their own system. So when you can't just take my system and formula. So it's not my system, but my little formula that I talk about. If you're a singer-songwriter out there and you're going, all right, well, you do this, no. You still have to have a Billboard affiliate to do what I did on radio. So that's why you still need to meet someone like me and get hooked up with someone like me where I say, hey, look, here's what we're doing and here's how we do it. All right? And here's how you do that. Here's how you beat this and that. You still have to have a Billboard affiliated team if you're independent. Whew. So top 30 versus top 60. Now I'm going to show you something, and I don't care. I love Mark Chestnut. I grew up with Mark Chestnut. I grew up covering his songs when I was doing the cover phases. And, I have a great respect for Mark Chestnut. But Mark Chestnut recently was on his music page, and he puts a photo up. All right, and think how many young artists don't even know who Mark Chestnut is. Now, they might know his songs because he's got some great songs. He didn't write them, though. So there's that. All right, but Mark Chestnut is telling country music fans of his that Zach Top is what country music needs. Zach Top is bringing real country back. Wow. Well, Mark, with all due respect, Mark, you're doing what everybody else has done. You're trying to treat the symptom, not cure the problem. All right, because I just happen to know that your son, Casey, is a singer and probably a songwriter. Don't know, but I know he's a singer. He's been trying to make it on Texas country, and I'm giving him all the publicity in the world right here. But why don't you promote your son? See, so there's the secret right there. That right there can expose country music and the secret. Because guess what Zach Top did? Zach Top's recently in a photo with a man. And he goes, this is the man who made it happen for me. Zach Top did it independently too. He's not with a major record label. That guy, mega money. Because I'm going to tell you what right now, as an independent artist, listen to me, singer-songwriters that are chasing this neon rainbow or whatever you think you're doing. Let me tell you something right now. As an independent singer-songwriter, the backside system I'm talking about, that backside, that Riser House and all them don't want me to tell and all, that backside system, 1.8 million, top 30. It's going on a minimum going to cost you that, because here's what people like Riser House do. This is what happened to me in 2020. So I'm sitting there at a major record label meeting. At that time, I had a hit producer, all right, and a hit songwriter. Hit producer combo, hit songwriter, all right. And I had Billboard affiliated team. They're all former major record label executives, all right. That's how they know the system, all right. That's the other little secret, all right. They're all major record label executives, former guys, big dogs too. We're talking about big dudes, all right. People that you wouldn't know. You can't just Google them up because you won't know how to Google them, singer-songwriters, because you don't know who they are. All right? And I can tell you right now, one of our artists, and I say our, but on the team, Zach Brown. They had 10 #1 hits with Zach Brown alone. All right? When they were with Bigger Picture. All right? So here I am, sitting in a major record label meeting. All right? And before the meeting, I was told to pick out 10 of my best songs that I had written personally and or co-written with hit songwriters. So I had that. Sitting there with the head CEO of the label and their assistant. And they go, Derek, man, we love your style. We love who you are. We love your personality. Thank you for your service. You know, you're a great writer. Man, you get more rights with hit songwriters than our published down the hall songwriters get. All right. Play on my songs. They love the songs. All right. I'm sitting there in their chair with a current song on Billboard chart as an independent singer-songwriter. And they had the audacity to ask me, what are my revenues and what are my streams? And what are my social media numbers? Country music fans don't even know that there are singers. They don't even know there's a chart, number one. Two, they definitely don't follow anybody from number 25 to number 60 because they don't know about that chart. They don't know the process that all of us artists and songwriters go through just to get on that chart and how much money is spent to get there. Also, what the labels do, singer-songwriters, when I say 1.8 million on a minimum, it's because of this. Here's what they also do. When they see you moving up, when they see you getting close to top 30, guess what the major labels do? They drop in a new single because they can, because they have capital saved up. All major record labels are basically a bank. They have capital saved up. They'll come in there and throw a new single on, and you'll have someone like Eric Church did one week. Eric Church entered the chart at number 29. When he did that, it bumps everybody back. Thank God, when I was on the chart, that happened. We didn't move back, but we stayed where we were for 3 weeks. But everyone I knew that was on the chart, it moved them back 10 or 15, 20 slots. So guess what? All the money they spent to get there, guess what happened? And then they got to do what? If they want to get back here, they got to spend the same amount to get back there. And then hope it don't happen again. And hope that they can notch up. You don't make that money back, ladies and gentlemen. You don't make it back. Meaning, if you look at it as an investment, the ROI, the return, you don't make that back. You work your way up here, and then the fans don't even know about you. And you're not, especially if you're independent, you're not getting on the stages, you're not getting the tours, you're not getting invited out. And you got these incompetent people. So let me show you. If it were about talent, let's just do the money here. Let's get into the money part of it. If it were about talent, all right, labels work with a 360 deal. All right, they work with you're touring, because they have the conglomerate. When they sign, let me do it this way. When they sign an artist, producer, songs, they have either in-house published songwriters and or they have publishing houses around, all part of a system. They have a thing called a pitch sheet, meaning you get a sheet, you go see what artist is on there. If anyone who has a pitch sheet, first off, that's a credible pitcher or a credible publisher, they already know who the producers are. So, but for you out there just painting a picture, it says the artist, the publisher, and what kind of songs they're looking for. and then you send that over. Or you could, if some hit songwriters I know actually take their guitar and go to the artist and play it for them. All right. Then, so when you're signed to a major record label, you get a producer and you get the songs pitched to you, just like that. Then, if the artist expresses that they want to write some of those songwriters will let them in the room. So when I see people like Morgan Wallen and different people on discographies as a songwriter, but I see them next to all these hit songwriters that I've been knowing for anywhere from 10 to 20 years, no. When you know songwriting and you know songwriting skills and you see all these names that have been hit songwriters and quality songwriters for years, you know who's pulling all the lines. You know who's composing and you know who's doing all the writing. So see, that's why guys like me know it's all bullcrap. And it's all making fans think that, oh, he's a songwriter on that. No. When you know the names in there, and I know those writers, and when they say, no, man, he ain't pulling no lines on that. He didn't pull no lines. So some have done that. But 99.9% of your Billboard, country airplay, hit songs from artists, they didn't write them. All right? So when you think about money, if you think about talent, if it was about music, and music being the universal language, you know, you hear people saying music is a universal language, it's something we all have in common, it can put aside politics, religion, and race, and this, and it makes people, okay, well, if it's truly that, then why aren't the major record labels finding artists who can write all their music first and perform it, have the look, the talent, and write it because of this? They already have the conglomeracy. They take an artist, it's game over. Because they have the money, they have the conglomerate. The major labels, all they're doing is they got their promotion teams and say, hey, we got a young artist, blah, 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 blah. All right. Next thing you know, they're in your ear and you're thinking, oh, they're God's greatest gift to everything. No, it's a system. They can take anybody, anytime, any given day. So when you look at it that way and you understand that they sign an artist, they go to radio. That's the process. But see, the artist, before it gets to your ears, they're listening to music, listening to songs if they're not a writer. So why wouldn't they want the artist who can write the music for one reason? They already have the conglomeracy. They go to radio, you like it out there, and and then you go see them, and you go, oh man, that's the one I started supporting. They're opening up for so-and-so. You start supporting them more, and they grow like that. But guess what? Guess what exposes the system? Is when someone like me knows it, the hit songwriter exposes it. Hit songwriters and published songwriters are the ones who expose it. They're the ones. For one reason. There's a lot of songwriters who can't sing. So they're okay with being just a songwriter. But see, if it were about talent, and you see a lot of these people now talking about, whoa, we got Beyonce in country music, and we got Shabuzi and all these names. What the world's going on with country? Hey, if you're complaining as a fan, now this goes to the fans. If you're complaining out there, they're in the same system. That's your fault. That's your problem. They're in the same system. So you supporting someone like Morgan Wallen is the same as supporting Beyonce. They're in the same system. Same format, same formula. Same system. The way you change that as a fan is to look on the top 30, the top 40, the top 50, and the top 60 and find the names of the artists you've never heard of. Take your lazy ass over the Billboard chart. All right. If you claim to be a fan, then look up the Billboard chart, know how country music works and how it functions and how it operates. That's your power to empower yourself. Go look at the Billboard chart, find those artists. You may not like some of them, that's fine, that's your preference. But find the ones on the backside of number 30 to number 60 that are getting pushed out by the major record labels because some of their systems already been exposed. That's why a few more independents have gotten into the number 31 to number 60 slot like myself. Because there are teams out there that are working hard because they can't stand all these incompetent people who have hijacked the country music system. all because of money. So if you don't like that, what you is as a fan, if you think that Beyonce and all these others are not country music, but you're supporting all the other top 10 and top 5 and number 1 hits, it's the same system. Same system. So you're just as guilty, and you're also a hypocrite. But it's like the Bible says, once you've heard, it's better to deny, it's better not to know and to deny, than it is to deny it, and know it and deny it, basically. So it's better not to know and walk away and go, okay, I'm not looking anymore. Nope. And go on, than it is to see, hear, and know, and ignore it, and deny it. Because now that I've told all the secret, country music fans have no excuses now. The way you flip it is to know how country music works, how it operates, how it functions, and then take power, empower yourself. You don't love country music because you discovered it. You don't love it. You are captured, you're captivated. You're sheep. You're just no different than sheep waiting to be slaughtered. They can lead you anywhere. And that's why they dumped all this crap on you and what you think ain't country, because you're sheep. You let it happen. And you can change it if you'll listen to people like me. It's not going to benefit me. But what I'm trying to do for singer-songwriters out there is help them go, okay, look, don't get caught up in all this. Don't. Because it's most of it's in your ear, and they're blowing smoke in your ear if you even do get a major label meeting. If you do get a publisher meeting, most of it, they just going blah, 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 like Riser House did with me. So back to that meeting. Back to that. So then they go, they see all my, everything. I'm on the current billboard. They're asking me, what are my revenues? What are my streams? And what are my social media? Knowing that country music base, the mainstream base, they're captured. There's no way for me to market into that. And they're the ones who make the songs hits. That system. So there's no way for me to compete with their signed artists in that system. There's no way. No way whatsoever. No independent artist can compete with a major record label artist. So what they were asking me was basically a slap in my face, and my team, which they probably, be honest, let's just be honest, they didn't like someone on my team. Let's just be honest. There's something there that they didn't like. However, here's what they did. They diverted the conversation and said, hey, have you ever thought of a publishing deal? And I'm like, I've already had a pub deal. I know what that's all about. Why would you tell me, an independent artist with a current song in Billboard, independent, who writes all my music, produces all my music, why would you say something like that? Why? My team I already knew how country music worked, the system. As I'm sitting there, I already know the system. All they had to do, this is this simple now. Hear me out, singer-songwriters. All they had to, this shows you the games they play. All they had to do, when I was sitting at the chart, was say this. They should have said, how much did you spend to get to where you are? And if I'd have told them how much we spent to get there, guess what? When you're at like number 42, if you spent $100,000 to get to number 42, it's only going to cost $100,000 from the major record labels, if that, to get it on up to the top 20, top 10, top 5. Because they have the conglomerate power. They have the conglomerate, meaning they have radio locked in. When they pick up the phone with an artist, game over. But see, we set a insider country music record, which is what my book talks about. It's not known to fans, and it wouldn't mean a thing to fans, and it don't mean a thing to even singer-songwriters that don't know how this stuff works. But we set an insider record, meaning people who know how this stuff works and knows how. We set a record. My team did. Not me, but me. They used me to do it. Because they're former major record label executives, and they can't stand these incompetent people who have hijacked the system. And so we were sitting on the chart 2 different times, under 50 grand, with two different hits. All that major record label had to do was spend anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 and they would have what? They'd have had me sign a deal with a 360 deal, and they'd have taken 85% of my career. That's how stupid they are. That's how ignorant they are. That's how incompetent they are. Because I write all my music. And I write quality songs. I've already had hit songs. I've already been proven. I've already been critiqued years ago by hit songwriters. I've already proven myself. The dues have already been paid. So see, that's why it matters. And then their incompetence. And then I told them, if I ever slip through the cracks, I'm telling all the secrets. I'm telling what Ricky Van Shelton never told everybody. Ricky Van Shelton, one of the greatest country music singers of all time, when he got dropped from his label, he quit. You've never heard from him again. He's never toured. He's never made appearances. He don't write. He don't do anything. He walked away, tipped his hat. It takes some, when you're passionate and you love something and you had success like he had, it takes a real kind of integrity and you know what, to walk away without saying, boom. Because he could have exposed all of it. He could have taken down all the labels, all the radio, all the conglomeracy. If he'd have had social media back then, in that time period, 2004, 5, somewhere there, if he would have had that like it is now, it could have been all changed. It's the same thing with John Rich. Recently, John Rich, and I have no beef with John Rich. I know John Rich. I'm not buddies with him, but I know him. I could text him. But again, he's politically calling out Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley. Well, one, Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley already had careers before him. All right, so there's that. Then two, John says the major record labels prevent, let's say it the other way. He says the artists are afraid to say something political because the major labels will drop them. Well, be honest how the system works. All right, if they cared about changing country music, these top 5, number 1 hits, he's had number 1 hits. If all these artists who had number 1 hits, top 5, 10, 20, 30, like Mark Chestnut and John, if they cared about country music so much, Kid Rock, I love Kid Rock, but let's be honest now, he's had some country hits, but whatever. If they wanted country music to be saved, quit trying to treat the symptom. Cure the problem. The problem is major record labels have a conglomerate with radio. No matter what artist these labels sign, they're going there. But they want artists who are dumb, gullible, and have the IQ of a toenail and a cement block put together. They want artists they can control. And the hit songwriters, the published songwriters, show the secrets. Because again, a lot of them don't sing themselves. They're happy with being a hit songwriter. And they're the ones that expose it all. Because if the songwriters ever did a strike like some of these unions do, let's just say the songwriter said, all right, I'm not writing anymore. I'm not writing. I don't like it. I've had someone say, well, they'll just find other. No, they won't. They can't find the quality that quick. Because it's a system they already have. It's a clique. They have their own little clique. They wouldn't be able to find them that quick. They'd be able to expose it that fast. But hit songwriters won't do it because they're a bunch of sissies and they're a bunch of pansies. And that's all they've done in their life is a hit songwriter. That's all they do. So they're not going to stop because, they'll just go, I don't really care for it, but I can write it. And they want to be relevant. They want to have a name and a face, and they want to say, here's my accolades, and here's my heavy metal on the wall. I wrote this song, and I wrote that. But these songs today, they ain't going to last. They're not going to be a check, yes or no. They're not going to be a ships that don't come in. These songs today, they ain't nobody going to be in 30 years going, hey, play that Morgan Wallen song. Which one? He released 47 million on one CD. All right, one album. All right, they're not quality anymore. The lyrics have all gone to hell. The music's gone to hell. You can't duplicate that stuff. That's why Florida Georgia Line, where'd they go? When they played Cheyenne Frontier Days for all the real cowboys up there, and they couldn't duplicate all that bop, the country Hansons, all right, when they couldn't duplicate that to the fans, where the fans could put a lighter in there, what happened? And you, the fans, are the problem. You're the fans are the problem. You supported all that crap because it sounds good and feels good for a moment. But if you want to go out and get in a field at a rodeo or somewhere and you want to drink a beer or put a lighter up in there, you got to have real quality music, good music. So quit supporting both. Sacrifice. Go, you know what? No. Country went to hell, like President Trump says all the time. Everything has to go to shit before it gets better. Well, all it proves is fans, you don't know quality at all. And you're just as gullible because it's pathetic. It's pathetic. So Mark Chestnut saying that about Zach, why don't he promote his son? Why don't Mark promote his son? Why isn't Mark Chestnut putting money behind his son? So see, Mark and hit songwriters expose all the system. Why doesn't Mark Chestnut put money behind his son? Why is he over here on this page who's highlighting, here's an old 90s country artist with hits saying, oh, Zach, he's trying to stay relevant. Because if he cared about country music, he'd promote his son. If Zach Top is what country music needs, why isn't Casey Chestnut what country music needs? See, anybody who has logic and common sense, and you have ethics, and you have standards, principles, you can admit that. You can say, well, that makes perfect sense. Why would he be promoting this person, not his own son? Why doesn't he have money behind his son? It's a system. And he's a 90s hit artist. He can go right to everybody and say, hey, here's my boy, do this. Why isn't that happening? Because it ain't about talent anymore. If it was about talent, there would be a lot more artists and singers. You would have people like me. You'd have, CJ Solar. I can sit here and name a few people. There's a lot of people. Dylan Jacobson. I can sit here and name some people. I can name some people. All right. Why? So there's two ways to have hit songs in country music. Two. You either have a major record label, which is kind of like hitting the Florida lottery, Texas lottery, and Mississippi lottery all in one day. Singer-songwriters, that's your odds. Or I'm the first to expose it all. I'm the first. Like I told them, I'm going to keep my promise. It ain't going to benefit me. It's not going to help me at all. They'll blackball me like they do everybody else. They'll blackball it. All right? But I'll have the ultimate blackball. I'll have the death penalty blackball. All right? Because when the radio people hear it, unless they want to decide to be a part of the revolution as well, they'll blackball me. And that's fine. All right? Because I'm at the point where I don't care anymore. Retired veteran, have 3 #1 best-selling books. I have the Billboard hits. God has blessed me. But again, if this were about talent and country music and principles, it's a pay-for-play system. It's a pay-for-play system with the independents. That's the only way you're going to break through all that. And all you singer-songwriters who think you're going to move to Nashville and you're going to be the one, it ain't going to happen like that. It ain't going to happen like that. It don't work like that. So, when people say stuff like, okay, there's my notes. When people say stuff like you got to spend money to make money, here's why that's false. It is if you have a product or a service or, like a shirt or apparel or something like that and you think it's a great idea, yeah, you got to go, like if you have shirts, and you go, you know what, I think this shirt's going to sell. I'm going to buy 1,000 of them and then put them out there. All right. You may eat that like a sunk cost. They may not sell and you have to end up eating it. Or they may sell. All right. But that's how you spend money to make money. In country music, it don't work like that. Because there's not a thing you can do to make, hear me out, singer-songwriters, you cannot make a major record label sign you. No matter how passionate you are, no matter how bad you want it, no matter how much you grew up doing it, and oh, I want this so bad, oh, I just want... No, there's not a thing in the world you can do to make them sign you to a deal. So it's not a spend money to make money because, again, that chart, there's two ways to have a hit song, major record label and then my way. My way ain't my way. My way is the back door where all these former major record label executives said, hey, we're Billboard affiliates, all right, and we'll start a boutique label, all right, we know how to go to radio, all right, and we'll go to radio, and then with all their contacts they had when they were major record label executives, carries over to their little label, and then they'll take an artist, they'll either have investors up front who invest in their label, all right, like my guys did with Bigger Picture, they had an investor on it, all right, mega millions. All right, or the artist may know someone like Zach did. All right, the artist may know someone that says, all right, I got, X amount. I know how it works. I'm a believer in it. Let's do it. But you got to have a ton of capital. I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 million that you can burn through, and that investor not care about a return at all on the minimum. And then if they do care about a return, then they got to go, okay, I may not get a return right here. I may not get one ever, but it's going to be 5 or 10 years before they ever see anything like substantial. But 9.9999 out of 10 ain't going to get a return on it. Because here's what the major labels do. Again, if you're independent and you know the route I'm talking about, you get up in that billboard, those labels are sitting there watching, and they're going, uh-huh. And you get close, and then they do what? Ba-da-da-da-da. All the major labels, all of them, they drop new singles, and it pushes all your independents back. So it's not a spend money to make money. It's not. And that's what told me all the secrets. And see, I'm not dumb enough to go back to anybody that can't play with $3 million or above. See, I won't go back to an investor and say, hey, give me $800,000 and blah. No, I'm too honest of a person because I already know how it works. I know how it works like the back of my eyelids. All right. And if you go over to Sammy Kershaw, she's the queen of my double wide trailer. See, Billboard also, you'll have people say, they'll say, oh, I've Googled you and I can't find you on the Billboard chart because they don't publish that portion to you, the people. See, that's the portion I'm talking about. It's all secretive. But if you go over to Sammy Kershaw, to this day, go to Sammy Kershaw on Facebook, go to his photos, scroll your boat. All right, somewhere around 2020, I can't remember the month, but he put the chart up. All right, he put the chart up. And he goes, man, I'm not high on the chart, but I do have a bullet. Well, a bullet means it's a little black bullet that goes next to your number. Black bullet is a good thing. All right. Well, he was at like number, I don't even remember what number he was at on the photo he showed. But he ended up at number 40. Sammy Kershaw was the oldest country music artist to score a top 40 hit. Where were all the publications out there? Country Rebel, all these Country Chord and all, where were they at? Whiskey Riff, where are they at? They don't even study the charts anymore. They're also a bunch of hogwash and crap. They have a captivated audience. They don't care about Billboard. They don't study the system. And the major record labels and radio have not changed yet. Same system. So see, you have all these politics out there. You have all these different publications out there. They've got their own agendas as well. All right, and they're playing politics on their own little level. But a label will go, well, they got 3 million followers. But they're captivated. And their followers don't look up the Billboard chart. But Sammy proves old Derek Jonhson has Billboard hits. Now, I can show you all my emails, and people will go, oh, you're going to have people go, oh, that you could AI that today, and oh, you can Photoshop all that and all that bullcrap. All right. But Sammy Kershaw, I have it video recorded, screen recorded, and timestamp, everything. Sammy Kershaw proves old Derek Jonhson has Billboard hits. All right, because there I was on a chart with him, and he posted it on his page. And then you can look at that chart and you're going to see a lot of names you've never heard of before who have just as good of music depending on your taste. All right, I'm not saying I'm for everybody. My point, though, is, again, fans, you don't like country music because it's great, because you discovered it. You only like it because it went through a system, and they can take anybody, your mama, your daddy, your auntie, your uncle, your dog. They can take them any day of the week, put them on radio. Put them in your playlist, make them a hit artist. Because if it were about talent, again, you would get the best of the best. You would get someone like me who I solo write just as great as I do co-write. But I don't write for quantity. I write for quality. All right, like Roger told me. He was like, today, a lot of you are 40, 45 years old, 50. You're listening to 20-year-olds sing about crap they don't even know about. They ain't lived it. Why are you supporting people that ain't even lived a life? That's what's baffling to me. And if some of you support 18, 19, 20-year-olds, how can they sing about life they don't even know about? See, that's where we got to get back to quality and quality of life, period, with everything. You're sitting there supporting people who ain't even lived this stuff. So why wouldn't you want to look at Alan Jackson? All right, I'm not a big fan of all of Alan Jackson's material, but I'm a fan of a lot of it. But look at Alan. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot of his hits. All right, he wrote a lot of them or co-wrote on them. All right, David Lee Murphy. David Lee Murphy wrote all of his hits. Clint Black. So why aren't I love George Strait? Don't get me wrong, but let's put this in perspective. Why isn't Clint Black or David Lee Murphy as big as George Strait? Promotion. Money. But they wrote all their songs. So they are a true singer-songwriter. So when you really know how the system works, then you would go, okay, if it's about talent, the major record labels should want the artist who can write their music, maybe produce it, but that's okay if it's another producer, all right, because that requires engineering. It requires a whole other system most of you have never been around. I've invited people. I've let people come into my major sessions where you can see how they work and how they operate. All my engineers, all the producers, everybody, but I produce mine now, but even when I had a hit producer, their engineers, I mean, these guys, that whole sound room, but see, there's a system to that as well. And this is the last point I'm going to make with singer-songwriters. You think you're a singer-songwriter based on what? Based on what? Just because you can pick up a guitar? Just because you learn to play a guitar? I don't care if you can play the fire out of a guitar. I don't care. If you think you're a singer-songwriter, or let's go to the songwriter portion. If you think that just because you think you're great, or because your mama and your daddy think you're great, or because a little bonfire with your buddies think you're great, and the attitudes suck. The attitudes out there suck. Bad. Bad. I've reached out to artists before trying to do a good deed to society, saying, hey, look, I had someone tell me one time, pay it forward if I could. I've tried to pay it forward. They talk to you, what's up, bro? How you doing, bro? Don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to any hit songwriter like that. Don't you talk to any hit artist like that. You don't bro them. You don't, oh, hey man, what's up? Don't hey man nothing. There's no respect anymore. That's the other thing. And it's not that I think that I'm great, but I'm saying, hey, if you will hey man me, and you hey man some other big hit songwriter bigger than me, you ain't going nowhere. All right, so if you'll do that to me, I'm the one that needs to stop you and say you need to learn protocol, etiquette, some standards. All right, there's an etiquette to how you talk. Even if you do meet an actual good person with a label, if you do meet a good publisher, you need to know the language. You need some proper etiquette, some standards, some protocol. Believe it or not, there is that. That's why Roger said, hey, if I gave you the Rolodex right now, you wouldn't know what to do with it because you wouldn't know how to talk to these people. You got to know how to present yourself. Your first impression's your last impression. All right? and they think they know everything. These young artists think they know everything, and you don't. You don't know anything. And I'm the one that has all the answers because it's a system. It'd be different if it was psychology where it could just be anything. It's not. It's a system. It's a system with a format, with a formula. All right, so all of the musicians on my record, every single musician are union musicians, but they're also relationships I built for anywhere from 8 to 15, 16 years. I've known these guys. All right, they play by a chart, but they also don't just hop in the room, that all of them at one time. You'll see an artist out there, they'll get one of them on a record, but we're talking about a full-fledged record where every single person on my albums they've all played on #1 hits to top 20, top 30, multiple years. All right. And also ACM and CMA nominated musicians of the year. All right. So there's a big difference. And so many singer-songwriters out there, here's what I can do. Here's what my team can do. Again, I believe, one, I'm an artist-songwriter. So I'm not a pitch man. I'm not a salesman. I'm the artist-songwriter. I was in a major record label meeting, my last one again in 2020. And I told them, if you let me walk out of here, after sitting here telling me you love all my music, you love my writing skills, you love everything about me, and you let me walk out of here without putting me, basically in-house promoting me because I've been in the music business. I've worked with hit songwriters for years, even before I was a singer-songwriter myself. I worked with major hit artists. I've been in the system. So it's kind of like when you promote within your company versus going outside your company and pulling someone outside in, and you got someone in there that's worth their rear end off, and they know your company through and through, but you go outside and you get someone else, and this person here is like, I could run this easily. I could triple production because they know it like the back. Same thing. So when these major record labels sitting here asking me my streams and revenues, when I know that they got 25 interns down the hall who are sitting there running up all their numbers themselves. When they said Luke Combs recently, one of his songs alone hit 1 billion streams, that's not statistically possible because the quality ain't there, but the quantity is now the criteria. So when you have Morgan Wallen dropping 40 whatever songs on one album, come on people, do your math. All right, look at the algorithms. They claim it takes half the song to count for a play. There's no way that country music fans are streaming Luke Combs' song and all these other songs. There's no way. Labels, they got you captured. They got you. And see where they messed up with someone like me was letting me slip through the cracks. Sitting there, I'm independent. Resume full of hit songwriters, hit artists, hit producers, former executives on the business. So, yeah, over the target. So let's see if it'll still work. So anyway, here I am sitting there. All they had to do was say, hey, sign you up 85%. At that time period, I'd have done it because that was my whole life goal. Get on a major record label. That was my whole life goal. And guess what happened? That's what they did. And I'm sitting there knowing that they got interns down the hallway. They got a promotion team down the hallway. They got the conglomerate power on radio. That's all they had to do. All they had to do. And all they had to do was take my song where it was sitting on the chart and take it right on up to top 20, top 10, top 5. Bingo. They wouldn't have had to spend much at all. They would have had I would have been the greatest signee of all because, well, what we spent to get where we were on the chart, my team and I even offered them a deal they couldn't refuse, and they did refuse it. I said, you know what? I'll get myself back to top 40 again if you'll take it on the third song. So it shows you it ain't about talent. And if it were about business and money, all right, it does take money to keep things going. Let's be honest. We're a capitalist nation. We're a capitalist market. If it were about business, then you would promote someone who knows your business, someone like me who's saying, hey, look, I'll cut a deal with you. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I'm not going to do this, that, and the other. I know how the system works. That was 2020. So why didn't they do that? It's the craziest thing in the world. It's all there. And so fans, you have control of this. So when you get mad at Beyonce or whoever that is, then that's your personal whatever. That I'm not here to knock artists, but I'm like Mark Chestnut. Why aren't you promoting your son? John Rich. Why don't you tell fans how it works? Why don't we have a real revolution? Why don't we show fans how this stuff works? Why aren't you promoting me? Why aren't you promoting not just me? Why aren't you promoting people from number 31 to number 60? You're not. Mark, you're not. You're not even promoting your own son. So this ain't about country music. This is about you staying relevant. This is about you making sure your base thinks you're some big and bad taking up and, oh, I'm taking a stand. No, you ain't taking no stand. You're just treating the symptom. You're not trying to cure the problem. You're keeping fans at bay. You're not trying to be a real outlaw and a real rebel saying, hey, this is how it works. Because if you, Mark Chestnut, or you, John Rich, with your number one hits, all of you with your number one hits in top 5, 10, if you said what I'm saying, fans would listen just like that. And you could create a revolution. And we could go in and set up new systems. We could set up new labels. We could set up everything with competent people who love music and understand talent. Because the same fans who love country music right now are the same people who claim to be President Trump supporters and would say something that they don't like the government, etc. And you're supporting the same crap that you had in politics from 2016 back. The same thing. It's the same. They're all in it together. That's why I froze up a while ago. That's why my internet's out right now and I'm on data. It's the same system. They're all a conglomerate. They all work together. They're all in a system. And you're supporting it. And you think these artists out there like you and love you? How many artists get on their personal Instagrams and go live with you outside of maybe singing? And I don't even see that. How many of them get in the comment box and talk to you outside of maybe some of their interns doing that occasionally? How many of them care about you? They don't give a damn about you. Yeah, they're going to smile. Yeah, they're going to meet and greet you. Yeah, they're going to do everything they got to do, but they don't give a dang about you. If they did, they would be more down to earth and more humble and get on the comment boxes all the time and sit there on their phones. They wouldn't act like they don't know you. They wouldn't act like, oh, you're the scum of the earth anywhere else that they are outside of the stage and or a radio station where they got to do meet and greets. They wouldn't act like, oh, I can't talk to you. Oh, I can't hug you. Oh, I can't look at you. That's what they do to you. So why do you keep supporting it? If it were about talent, again, I challenge Morgan Wallen. I challenge Luke Combs. I challenge all of them. Write a song solo. Write a song solo that has deep meaning to it with real lyrics and real music. Write a song solo. Release that. You ain't doing it. You can't do it. All right, so there's that. And all you hit songwriters out there, all you hit songwriters that get tagged on this, you have no balls. You have no integrity. All right? None whatsoever. Because you could influence it just as easy. You could say, hey, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But you don't. Because you're all whipped. You're all, you know what, whipped, as that saying is. You're whipped. All right? And you don't want to. All right? You're too comfortable. But a lot of you don't like it. I've had conversations with a lot of you. You don't like it. You don't like what's been going on. So why don't you say something about it? Why don't you do something about it? And all you old singers, all you 90s country, 80s country, the ones that are still living, say something. Do something about it. Quit treating the symptom. Cure the problem. The fans, there's a lot of patriots out there with what's going on in this nation who are eager and hungry to know. And if you would say it, they'll listen. If you would tell how it actually works, they'll listen. But I tell you what, I got y'all beat, see? It's already out. It's already out. So if you come out and say something now, guess what was before you? All the secrets right here already. Royal Flush, it's the #1 bestseller. The Royal Flush of country music. I named it that because when I was sitting there with that record label, old Riser House, I was sitting there with a Royal Flush. They didn't know that. See, when you're playing poker, you obviously don't show your cards. All right? Same thing with anything else you're doing. You don't always show all your cards out the gate. That's just straight up common sense. That's also logic. It's also some Native American chiefs, right? It's also psychology. All right, it's also secret military, special operations, etc. There's a lot of things, right? You don't show all your cards. I'm sitting there with a full house, tripled. It wasn't even a full house. It's the Royal Flush, all right? So a full house, I had the full house when I first started because I had a team and they're sitting there going, hey, it don't work like this. This is how it works. So when I figured out how it works and they go, here's what you got to do. And I was like, how am I going to do this? That was my full house because I was sitting there going, man, I worked in country music and I didn't even know this. See, that's where you know there's no pride there. I worked in country music and still didn't know the secrets, the real secrets. When I figured that out and then went up the chart, then that gave me the Royal Flush. And I'm sitting there with this major record label and they're asking me my revenues, my streams, and my social media, knowing that the system is rigged. Knowing I cannot compete with their artists. Knowing I can't compete with any of the system that they have. So that's when I was like, and then when they asked me that, and I said, hey, why are you asking me about a pub deal? I'm sitting on your Billboard chart. That's not my chart. That's your chart. That's a chart you have on your desk weekly. I'm on your chart. And you're asking me to forget about my artistry, forget about me being a singer, and write for you? See, what they were saying is, we love your writing skills, and we want to take 50% of your royalties, but you need us to have a hit song. You could have us if we'll sign you to a pub deal, right? We'll take 50%, but you don't sing anymore. You're just writing all day. See, they wanted my talent as a writer to put on their artist and to make money with their artists who are already gullible, dumb as dirt, no IQ whatsoever, controlled. All right, got them. All right, they wanted me to give my writing talent to them and also my personality and also my skills as I got, anybody I go write with, I get rights with who I want to get a write with because I know how to talk to them. I know the etiquette, the protocol, the standard. All right, so I get co-writes with hit songwriters easily because I know how to get to them. And I can get to them now. Even more, I could then, and I can really now. But they wanted my talent. And I promised them, if I ever slip through the crack, I'm going to tell it all. I'm going to tell everything. And it's up to you singer-songwriters out there. I know there's a lot of names. I know there's a lot of faces. I know there's all kinds of sales pitches and this and that. I get it. But I'm the artist, songwriter with Billboard hits and #1 best-selling books. My Royal Flush was sitting there knowing I'm on the Billboard chart. I know all the secrets. I am a songwriter. I have access to every hit songwriter that I want to get to or the ones I'd already been to. And then they're asking me my royalty, well, my streams, my social media numbers, and my revenues. Knowing they got interns down the hall that run up those numbers. Knowing they got promotion team down the hall that all they got to do is call up radio and go, hey, Beep, 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 beep. Add this, add this, add this. Yep, 30 string, 30 spins a day or what? A week, not a day. 30 spins a week. There's only 2 ways to have a hit song in country music. To be a known singer in country music, there's only 2 ways. For all these years, you singer-songwriters, for all these years, no one knew about this back avenue. No one. So I know and I get it. There's a lot of names again. There's a lot of faces. There's a lot of moving lips. There's a lot of quote-unquote. You get on LinkedIn. You get on Facebook. You get on. There are all kinds. I'm an agent. I'm a this. I'm a that. No, they're not. I'm the singer-songwriter. I got the blue check, the singer-songwriter. I'm not coming to you as a sales pitch. I'm coming to you as a singer-songwriter telling you right now you are wasting your time. You're wasting your energy and you're wasting your money. And you got the cart before the horse, a lot of you. You just want a name so bad. You want to be famous and all. If you want to be famous, the old joke in Nashville 15 years ago, they said, when someone said, I just want to be famous, they'd say, go rob a bank. In 10 minutes, there'll be a news crew there with a camera on you. All right, if that's your motivation, you're already in it for the wrong reasons. All right, already in it for the wrong reasons, straight out the gate. All right, most of you singer-songwriters on Instagram daily. I have a friend, we joke about this all the time. When I open my Instagram, oh my God, have mercy. The sponsored singer-song, they got the best graphics in the world, and the females all have their you-know-whats hanging out. All right, they don't leave nothing for the imagination whatsoever. But the music is atrocious. It's terrible. And you're writing songs that only appeal to your little bracket. You're not writing songs that's going to be 40, 50, 60, 70-year songs, 80-year songs, lifetime songs. Terrible, most of them. Terrible. And you can get mad, you can go, oh, you mean you're this, you as SOB or whatever. But I've already been there, done that. And if I pitch songs still, and I do pitch occasionally to some artists bigger than me, occasionally, I know not to send them certain things. I also know the etiquette and the protocol. I don't send more than 2 songs a year to a hit artist. But I send the same songs over when I do. See, and you out there, you singer-songwriters, you're struggling and you're struggling and you're struggling because 1, your attitudes suck, most of you. 2, you don't want to listen. 3, you've already got wrapped up with the wrong person out there who thinks they know everything, ain't got a thing on their resume, don't have any kind of accolades whatsoever, and you want to listen to someone that ain't got anything but sitting here and a guy sitting here saying, look, here's what my team can do. Because what I want to do is save country music. Save it. We can save it if you'll listen and you'll empower yourself. So that's what my team's doing. What we're doing is saying, look, we'll pay for your record. There's no catch or gimmick there. All right. I'm not going to take some kind of percentage. I'm out there and you got to play, you're selling merchandise, things like that. Then there'll be a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage. Nothing insane, but the percentages will be because you're working and you have an audience. And that will go back in to helping other artists do the same thing. And then the fans out there, you got to rally around these kind of things. You got to rally around good quality music. Quit being told what to listen to. Quit. George Strait, Alan Jackson, Shenandoah, Black Hawk, Tracy Lawrence, Tracy Byrd, all your 90s country and even 80s and 70s. You hear that quality, but then you go listen to this. It's terrible, man. Terrible. I'm getting paused due to some whatever because I'm right over the target. But, again, pretty cheap on Amazon. You can get it through my website, rattletrap1776.com, RATTLETRAP1776.com. I sign all of them. But if you want the Kindle version, it's very cheap on Amazon Kindle, and then you can get it on Amazon. If you're international, it's the only way you're going to get it. It's at Amazon. All right, The Royal Flush of Country Music. All right, and all my music's on DerrickJohnsonCountry.com. Derrick Johnson Country on Facebook. But anyway, that's all the secrets. It's really simple, really. So if you want to be a part of a good team and you want to be an artist with quality, great music, but also great songs, hit me up, man. Hit my team up. This book right here has my email in it, but also my, you can write to me here. My email's public, but I'm going to let you discover that, because that'll show that you're actually taking initiative and going and looking for it, because it's on one of those websites that I just mentioned. If you truly care about your career and if you want to be a part of country music, and fans out there, you have to listen. You have to empower yourself. It's a teamwork. That old saying, teamwork makes the dream work. Well, you have to do the same thing. Quit sharing all the number 1, top 5, top 10. Go look at the back of the chart. Go look up artists right now, currently on Billboard. There's going to be some names you've never heard of. Go look them up.